Screen Slurps.
Hello and welcome to Screen Slurps, the movie review podcast where we discuss everything that is good, bad, and savage in the world of cinema. I'm Adam Meisner.
And I'm Dash Gerhardt, also known as DJ, and with us is a special guest introducing Charlie, aka Wing It, on the Journey Punks D&D Actual Play stream show.
Hi!
Williams, Charly Williams.
Hello.
How are you today?
I'm doing really, really well. I feel like at this time in my life is like kind of returning to normal. And I have like an awesome party to go to this weekend, so I'm like super stoked.
Wigga, what?
Very nice. Good to hear. I'm kind of in the same boat. As of tomorrow, it will have been 2 weeks since my second vaccine dose, so I will be officially fully vaccinated, fully ascended, Super Saiyan.
You're like a
That has nothing to do
superhero,
with it.
yeah.
I just want it to be.
You started going to Dragon Ball Zone there, but I was thinking of like the X-Men or something.
Oh, well, we'll get into that. So I just want to say welcome to the show, Charlie. We're
Thank
glad
you.
to have you.
Thank you so much for having me.
And I just want to say something to Adam, which is penis.
Oh my gosh. Penis.
Penis.
I'm going to clip out on the mic here. Penis!
Penis!
I can't go any louder for the
All right, I
neighbors
win.
upstairs.
Anyway,
I think the
if that
kid's
doesn't
above
tip
me.
you off.
There's some kid above me in this apartment complex.
So sorry. Well, then I'll take the win for that. And if you didn't take that tip, ladies and gents, we are reviewing the classic film, the infamous film, the controversial film, 500 Days of Summer. That's right, starring Joseph Gordon-Levitt and Zooey Deschanel, directed by Mark Webb. But before we get into that, I need to ask Adam and Charlie, what have they been side slurping this week? And by that, if you're new to the show, what I mean is, what have you been watching, reading, playing, or maybe making this past week besides watching 500 Days of Summer?
Okay, well, I started playing this new video game that just came out. They hyped it up so much like it was going to be the greatest thing in the world. It looks super good. The video game is called Biomutant. And once I bought it, I was so hyped, like I should have been. And as I play it, it's pretty good. It's this third-person RPG game, if that makes sense to anybody out there who's not a crazy nerd like DJ is. And
I know what he's talking about.
the game is very weird. It's still very fun. It is just really weird. And you play as this little ferret, squirrel, gizmo gremlin looking character. And the whole world is populated with them because humans basically polluted the entire earth. And the only things that live there anymore are now these, anthropomorphic little animal creature things made from radiation. And the whole world's gone to shit now. So
delicious.
The only things that last anymore are these little creatures that basically talk like they're speaking Simlish. Just. And the only thing.
Wait, what was that?
Exactly.
What did the language sound like?
So,
oh yeah, that's right. It's on Duolingo.
The only thing
I'm pretty behind
that can talk to you, that translates for you, is this British man. So then you hear, and then this guy pops in.
A British man's the only man that survives out of the human apocalypse.
I mean, that's fine with me.
Of course.
That's totally cool.
I like British accent.
Yeah, and we all like watching the BBC, so that's cool. You turn it on and you hear some
It's
person
Sherlock.
on there.
Yeah.
When you're choosing your voice actor,
would you rather have
and you
British
look at an American man and you look at a British man, I think that you're just gonna be like, yeah, we're gonna go with the British man.
Yeah.
British man or someone from Texas?
Yep.
Larry the Cable Guy or the BBC?
Could you imagine? Holy crap! Could you imagine an intricate video game just dubbed by Larry the Cable Guy? Like, give me Breath of the Wild, but all the characters are just Larry the Cable Guy and different
You gotta go up there and
voices.
get that Triforce Curse there, yeah. Yeah, there's Zelda. There she is. Get her
You gotta pick
done.
up that dang there sword and use it to get them powers.
Oh, they're broke. Oh, yep. Oh, well, watch out, you're gonna get struck by lightning. Oh, yeah, you're gonna get tired climbing that mountain. Yep, you're gonna get drowned too. Yeah, Link gets real tired in this game.
I also just love that you're narrating things that just aren't narrated in the game.
It's my complaints about Breath of the Wild as Larry the Cable Guy, as a lifelong Zelda fan. It's the things that piss me off about that game.
Okay,
you just get struck by lightning out of nowhere for no reason.
All right, hang on. So
I like cooking in it.
Let me go back to Biomutant. So
Biomutant, animal people, post-apocalyptics, British guy.
It's actually kind of like Breath of the Wild in the sense that the game's huge. The map is huge. There's a lot to do. So if you played Breath of the Wild, you're kind of in the same boat a little bit when you're in Biomutant. But instead, you're not speaking English. First of all, anytime you talk to an NPC character,
so the English guy doesn't speak English.
Oh no, he does, but the animals don't. So it's just
okay.
And then the BBC guy comes in to be like, "You must go get the Quipplequop from the Porky Puff." And then you're like, "No, wait a second. There's Porky Puffs and Quip Quacks and Ziggle Zobbles and
Puffs.
These are literal things they say in the game. Like you have to go to the Ziggle Zobble to go talk to Gold.
Eat 12 Porky Puffs before you start your next side quest.
These are real things in the game.
Space games trip me out for that one reason. I like the fact that I could just play this entire game and do just like things that I've done in games my entire life, but they're just named insane things. like you go to a cutscene, you go to a bar and you sit down and the bartender's like an old alien. He's like, "What can I get you? A zip zap vob what a boop."
Zippity bop, porcupine.
Now say that again, but with a very serious British accent.
A zip bop but a wobble wobble boob.
Yes.
Everything is stupid.
So, I mean, that's the one incentive for me to keep playing the game is I'm like, I didn't realize this game was intended for children, but is it really?
When you showed me it didn't seem like it. It seemed like a notch higher in maturity than Breath of the Wild.
And then also there's waypoints in the game where you can fast travel to different cities or locations. So I'm thinking, okay, waypoints, you just, you activate the waypoint and then you can go back to it. But to activate the waypoint, you pee on it.
You what?
You pee on the waypoint.
You what?
Urinate on it. Yes.
What?
I'm not repeating that again for you.
I know a few people who get activated. Their waypoints get activated.
That's just the city of Chicago. To when you go to a bar, you pee on the waypoint.
Yeah, it's called Wrigleyville.
Exactly. Other than that, I watched Galaxy Quest with Tim Allen. That's a great movie. I've been living it up with Alan Rickman, of course, because he's just wonderful. Tim Allen, you're okay, but Alan Rickman's the man. So, Galaxy Quest is a wonderful movie, and I watched.
When are we going to record a review about Die Hard 2, which I'm not in because of you, Roy?
We should just do a review on Alan Rickman. Fuck the movie.
Yeah, just Alan Rickman. Yeah.
Just review Alan Rickman.
Movies, yeah.
I want to listen to that episode of Screen Slurps where it's just like, here's a mega episode of an actor's career.
I mean, that's a great idea. We should do that.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Charlie. We'll have you back on for that. Yeah, definitely.
And I also finished the Harry Potter film series. Finally, I watched the last film. Again, talking about Alan Rickman here. I finally watched the last movie. So, yeah, and learned
Tell me, and I have my list always changes because I'm just a Libra and I'm super indecisive and it just depends on my mood. What are your top 3?
Of the Harry Potter films? Mm-hmm. I honestly think Order of the Phoenix was the best movie.
I really enjoy Order of the Phoenix. It's like my 3rd of my top 3. And it gets shit on a lot for some reason.
I love Order of the Phoenix. It's my favorite one.
I just think like the action, like the cinematics in the movie, and just like you could go into Order of the Phoenix and there's just so much that happens in that movie.
Yeah.
And I think the acting in that movie and I think not just like the climax of that movie, but the suspense and the things that happen in that movie to keep you invested in watching it are so much better than a lot of the other movies. And I thought that the final like climax, the battle between Dumbledore and Voldemort, was just really epic. And I thought the sound in that, just when I saw that when I was watching it in my apartment, I was like, damn, this is really just awesome. Like, it's really cool. So that's why I would say that. But I don't know. And I think it's really cool to see the real shift in style between the third Harry Potter film and the first two, obviously because the director changed. So a lot of things changed, and Dumbledore also changed. But
it got dark.
It's really cool. It's very much like watching like a Christian Bale Batman versus like Home Alone or something.
Yeah. Well, the whole thing with the Harry Potter films is that when you go from, and I honestly think the writing, I think that when they made the director change, I think it was a conscious choice because the writing changed. J.K. Rowling was intending to write a children's book, and she did, but those children grew up, they got older, and as you go older, you go through these changes. It's called puberty, y'all.
Yeah.
And things get a little darker, they get a little bleak. Not to mention that they're juggling the world ending, the wizarding world being like torn to pieces. So I enjoy the change. I enjoy the tone getting a little weird. Yeah, that's my whole take on. We're not even talking about Harry Potter, and here we are.
Well, what was your favorite movie?
My favorite movie is Prisoner of Azkaban.
Yeah,
oh, that's a good one too.
That's my second favorite.
Yeah. That one's my favorite just because even though I'm a huge werewolf fan, but I did not like J.K. Rowling's interpretation of a werewolf, and we'll just leave it at that. But I really enjoy learning about like Harry's father's whole group was just such an interesting thing to watch and see visually. Bully. He is a bully. And it's not unlike what we see Malfoy do to Harry, not unlike what we've seen Harry do to Malfoy and his group. I mean, like, everything is complexity. And then you have, like, when you talk, I could talk about this for hours, so I'm going to shut up. Yes, he's a bully. Prisoner of Azkaban is my favorite one.
Wait, is it that one, or is it Order of the Phoenix that he gets, like, flashbacks, memories of his dad?
Order of the Phoenix is where he figures out what his dad is, but Prisoner of Azkaban is where we find out his dad's group dynamic, which I think says a lot about James Potter as an entire character.
He's Biff Tannen of Hogwarts.
Yeah.
With glasses.
He might be. I mean, I got opinions, but it ain't just for this episode. It's for a different one.
Nice.
That's what I got for my past week, so...
Nice. Charlie, what have you been slurping this past week?
Oh, that's right. It's like a full-time job finding all those Korok seeds in Breath of the Wild. So that's what we've
At least they speak English and not...
At work, I can listen to a ton of podcasts, but I figured out that I don't really listen to podcasts very well at work more than I listen to lectures. So about December last year, I got a Great Courses Plus subscription. And I've enjoyed that immensely. And right now I'm at the tail end of a lecture about ancient Mesoamerica, which is awesome. And that's been consuming a lot of my time. And then I'm also reading, in addition to listening to the lecture, I picked up a book on, it's called Coyote America, which is just an entire book about the history and the myth and lore of the American coyote.
Cool.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Anything else?
I don't, that's my entire existence. Other than like work and like moving. I mean, like I'm not moving for like 3 weeks, but for some reason I'm just like, I'm getting rid of like a ton of stuff because like a ton of the stuff that I have right now is very old. So I'm just like, it's time for new things. And so I'm like wanting to get in and start selling. So I'm just like, it's about 3 weeks out before my move. I need to start selling stuff. So that's what I've been doing. I packed up all my books last weekend or about a week ago, and that's where we're headed. That's what I'm slurping.
Always a good feeling to clean out from time to time. Yeah,
I really do like what I call the purge, which I do once a year religiously. Which I go through every item, and if I haven't used it in a year, it goes hands down. Like even if I'm just like, but like nope, it goes.
So bye, Angus.
Yep. Yeah.
Get out.
Get out of here, you piece of shit.
Woof.
Woof. Well, on my end of things, the things I've been side slurping besides rewatching 500 Days of Summer is I've been super obsessed with My Hero Academia. I don't know if any of you watched it or read the manga, but I've been watching the anime. It is available on the Funimation streaming network and also on Crunchyroll and Hulu. I've been watching the dub. I know lots of anime lovers probably hate me for that, but I do like the dubs at times, and I watch the subs sometimes. And it is so good. Basically, I mean, it's a lot like Harry Potter, but basically if you mix Harry Potter and like X-Men and you mix them together and make it an anime with comedy, that's what My Hero Academia is. It's these people that are born with these, they call them quirks, not superpowers. I mean, they say superpowers sometimes, but it's like you're born with a quirk. And your quirk can be anything, like ice powers or lifting things, or there's this one guy that shoots tape out of his elbows, and he uses it basically it's like Spider-Man whips, and you're born with this. But only there's 20% of the human population that are not born with this quirk, and the main protagonist, Izuku Mori, well, he goes by Deku. I forget his last name, but Izuku, aka Deku, he is not born with a quirk, but he has dreamed of being a hero his whole life. Like ever since he was like 4 years old, he dreamed to be just like the main hero of this world, which is named All Might. And All Might is sort of this character that's mixed between like Superman and Captain America and Goku, and he's just like the symbol of peace and justice and helping everybody, and he wants to be just like him. And he has this rival, of course. Usually you have like a big just asshole rival in like shonen anime, you know, like with Goku and Vegeta. You have this rival that picks on and he beats him up too. His name's Bakugo, and he has this power where he can literally sweat nitroglycerin, and he can propel himself in a way where he can fly, or also basically almost like shoot explosives out of his hands. So yeah, he's big old dickbag.
God, can you imagine being born with powers like that, and then also being someone not born with powers like that, and be like, I wish I could just shoot tape out of my elbows.
Yeah.
God.
There's this one who has like these propelling engines comes out of his calves. I have that weird thing in my brain, I think, where like I don't like holes. Like I don't like, if like a honeycomb, I don't like looking at it. It makes me feel weird. Or anything with a lot of holes in it.
It's it's like Tesla.
Didn't you show me that, Charlie, years ago?
Yeah.
I thought it was like a BuzzFeed article or something.
Let me see. I know what you're talking about.
But I get really uncomfortable when I see that thing. Anyway, right. the kid with like super fast speed that has like jet engines in his calves, they look like holes. I'm like, I don't like that. I don't like looking at that. But he's cool. He's a cool character. But anyway, go check it out. It's really fun. It's really funny. It's really like heartwarming too, and it's like action packed, and the music is awesome, and it is just exciting and so much fun. Every once in a while, I mean, like when I'm looking for a new anime, I mean, as an anime fan, there is a lot of crap to sort through. There is a lot of like bad anime out there for sure, but man, there is definitely good anime. When you find one, it's just like, oh man, this is awesome. It is so good. Go check out My Hero Academia. I think they're on 4 or 5 seasons and a couple of movies now. So
I don't know if I'm saying this right. Trypophobia?
Trypophobia.
Trypophobia? Trypophobia. And it's the fear of little tiny holes.
Yeah. Yep. That's me. Trypophobia.
Also, DJ, and I ask you this because I've known you for a super long time. Mm-hmm. And I ask you this in earnest because this is also something that I can't remember if we've ever discussed. You've seen all of Naruto, right?
No.
Okay.
Did I just bomb your question?
No, you didn't.
Next question.
You just kind of proved my question. My Hero Academia is just Naruto with extra steps. And if you love that show, you would love Naruto.
Okay.
Like 100%.
Okay.
Like it's a Shonen Jump, same manga publisher.
Yep.
They follow the same script. It is literally the same vibe.
Yeah.
With villains and heroes. Like everything is the exact same.
The author actually said he was inspired by Naruto.
Yeah, like
and Dragon Ball.
It's very obvious. Like,
Yeah, it's very.
It's literally when anybody talks about No Hero Academia, I'm always just like, yeah, it's Naruto with extra steps. Like, it's
Well, I'll have to check that out. My next one to watch, or at least in my queue, maybe not right afterwards, I'm watching that and also finishing, completely watching Dragon Ball GT, since I never watched all of it. And I have to watch Demon Slayer, which that is getting all the hype right now. And I need to watch Naruto. And I've also been watching, since I don't have his name, but the original mangaka passed away, unfortunately. He did Berserk, and I've been starting to watch Berserk, which is really awesome. Not for people under 17. It's very gory, but it's really cool. So that is on Hulu, I believe. No, HBO Max, if you want to check that out.
I have been tossing around the idea of rewatching Inuyasha, since I haven't seen it since.
I love Inuyasha. Also,
Inuyasha is like, I mean, that's honestly, like, up until when Adult Swim started playing or airing anime, and I think between Dragon Ball Z and was it Yu Yu Hakusho?
Yep, I love Yu Yu Hakusho and Tenchi Muyo.
Yeah, and Inuyasha, I never watched anime. I was like, look at this dumb kids crap, and then I saw an episode of Inuyasha, and I'm just like, a boy.
I mean, hey, I felt the same way.
Dog demon boy.
Excuse me. I hope this doesn't awaken anything in me.
You'll become
If
one.
it does, it's okay. Yeah, I mean, Toonami and Adult Swim. I mean, I did watch some anime on, like, I don't even remember what it was, but Dragon Ball Z was really like the first show to like usher in a wave of Japanese imports. I mean, before that you'd have like Speed Racer, which people didn't even call anime, but it was anime back in the 60s. And Astro Boy.
It was like one of those things where it just wasn't handled well. And because the transition wasn't handled well, I don't think Americans knew what to do with it. Like, if I asked my dad to sit down and watch a cartoon with me, he would be like, or my mom, he would be like, no, that's kid stuff. No.
Yeah, same with mine.
But like The Simpsons, Family Guy, Rick and Morty, like, they'll sit down and watch that all day.
Same.
So it's not about the animation. Like, that's what like adult animation has taught us. Like, it's not and never has been about the animation. It's been about the execution. Yeah,
with anime, it's like, I mean, back when I was really into it in late elementary school, that's when I started to get into it. Late elementary school, that's when I started watching Dragon Ball Z. And middle school and definitely through high school, I kept it a secret. It was, if I had told, I was like, I'm never going to get a girlfriend if I had come out with that.
Boys do that. And I remember being in high school and like vaguely talking about just like, y'all, Inuyasha. Have anybody seen this? And everyone would be like, no, animation's for children. Like, no, that anime's for children and for babies.
No way.
And then as I grow up and I talk to men and dare I say boys, it's always just like, oh yeah, we've been watching Dragon Ball Z and anime since we were like children. Like, and I'm just like, great. And you were just like putting up a facade and you're just like, yeah, we just want to seem cool. Florida sucked, y'all.
Well, I mean, I do remember I wore my first Dragon Ball Z t-shirt in junior year, like not until I was upperclassman, because before that, you either got called a nerd by the rich preppy, like, upper class boys and girls, a nerd or a perv if you were into anime. Because I mean, anime, some of it has our pervy stuff in it. So, I mean, that's unfortunate.
Yeah. Live the life of a nerd, then, I guess. I mean,
and it doesn't mean just because you watch like somebody murdering something in a movie doesn't mean you're a murderer. Yeah, I mean, like, it just. And
ironically, I think that's the cool thing now. I mean, it's like a lot of people think anime is cool now, and that's kind of like a lifestyle choice now. And also, I think ironically, I know that The Simpsons and Family Guy and American Dad and all that, I know that's popular with a lot of people, but I would much rather watch anime anime over American Dad or Family Guy or The Simpsons and things like that. I think the moral values and things like that in shows like that is significantly worse than a lot of anime.
Yeah, exactly. Like a Family Guy, yeah, for sure.
There's like
way pervier in anime. Sorry,
it's a ton. Like it's like you take a handful of shit while taking a handful of heart with anime. Like sometimes you watch these episodes or you deal with these situations where you're just like, it makes you just feel like awful. But then like in the same anime, you could be like, oh geez, this is like the most emotion I have seen in my like 18 years of existing on this world. And I just think that that's like super important, because I think that anime teaches people that vulnerability is like a super, super important thing. But also on the other side, it teaches them like that hyper masculinity and being like super strong is also very important, which isn't necessarily the case. So again, you take a big handful of shit versus like a big handful of heart. Like we can like, I don't know. And that's why Avatar: The Last Airbender is the best thing ever made.
But with that, I've also real quick, because we got to talk about 500 Days of Summer still.
Yes, we do.
I've also been I mentioned I was watching been watching Berserk, and that's pretty much it. I just been like binging My Hero Academia. I'm on season 2 now, and yeah, it is awesome. But we'll be sure to go back and watch Naruto after I finish it. Oh, also real quick, I don't mean to plug other podcasts, but I've been listening to last podcast on the Left's deep dive of Dune. Has Holden McNeely's on Listen to Bruiser, which I love, and I love this episode where they're talking about Timothée Chalamet on the new Dune, which Adam and I are really excited about. And
absolutely,
they did this riff, which is really funny. It's not true, but it was really funny when they were talking about how Timothée Chalamet he needs before he jumps on the sandworm, he needs the right salad. If he doesn't get the right salad, if he doesn't get the right ASMR treatment, if someone doesn't massage his lower back with cream, he's not going to have the right pinched face.
Well, who's he going to get to do that?
Like
Dave Bautista?
In the desert. What's that?
That's what he was going to do. Dave Bautista's going to massage him?
Yeah, get it with cream. His lower back. Just his lower back with cream. Anyway, I recommend it. Go watch that. I'm not listening too far because I'm also reading Dune too, and I don't want to spoil it for myself. But now it's time to dive into 500 Days of Summer. That's right. 500 Days of Summer, everybody. It is 2009. Oh boy, here we go. It is a 2009 American romantic comedy drama film by first-time director Mark Webb, who did a lot of music videos prior to this. He directed it from a screenplay written by Scott Neustadter and Michael H. Weber, and produced by Mark Waters. The film stars Joseph Gordon-Levitt and Zooey Deschanel, and employs a nonlinear narrative structure with the story based upon its male protagonist and his memories of a failed relationship. As an independent production, film was picked up for distribution by Fox Searchlight Pictures and premiered at the 25th Sundance Film Festival. It garnered favorable reviews and became a successful sleeper hit, in quotations, earning over $60 million in worldwide returns for exceeding its $7.5 million budget. Many critics lauded the film as one of the best films from 2009 and drew comparisons to other acclaimed films such as Annie Hall of 1977 and High Fidelity of 2000. The film received Best Original Screenplay and Best Screenplay awards at the 14th Satellite Awards and 25th Independent Spirit Awards, respectively, as well as 2 nominations for the 67th Golden Globe Awards, Best Motion Picture for Musical or Comedy Genre, and Best Actor for Musical or Comedy Genre for Gordon-Levitt. And
good job, Joe.
Yeah, good job, Joe. GL.
Good job, Joe.
So this film came out, let's see, 12 years ago? Mm-hmm. Yeah, a very new adult I was, and this film has, for me, before we dive into plot points, which again, listeners, this is your warning for spoilers because we are going to talk about this a lot, and we're not going to hold back. So if you haven't watched it, go watch it now. Come back and watch it. Leave the podcast running so we get them views, we get them listens, we get that we keep going up the charts in Apple Podcasts and Spotify. So anyway, go watch it. Leave this running. Come back, and your spoilers. You've been warned. So this film hit me at a very, very fresh adult age, early 20s, and I think it was like 21, maybe 22, and it has hit me different ways throughout my 20s because I had revisited a lot, and differently now that I'm in my early 30s, watched it again, revisited it, and this film has been interpreted in many different ways, which is kind of weird, but also understandable, but also going back to, really, how could it be could it be interpreted any other way but the way it was intended? Are you saying that
interpreted in different ways by yourself or by other people? Because through my research as an expert scientist, I've seen on the internet that many people interpret this different ways. Well, I mean, for myself, I've certainly interpreted this different ways from watching it as a young man and watching it now. Not that I'm saying this like I'm
still a young man.
Old. Yeah, I'm still a young man. Let's be real here.
I'm going to ask you guys, and you don't have to do this now, but I would like you to do this at some point in the podcast, is to talk about the way that it affected you when you first saw it versus the way that it affects you now.
Okay, then I think that's a good way to do that before we dive into it. So when I first watched this, I related to Tom. Mm-hmm. I was in the throes of, what it was like to, have a relationship with a cute girl. I was in a relationship, actually, very good person, by the way. I was in a relationship with someone who looked almost identical to Zooey Deschanel, and she just had brown hair instead of black hair, same big eyes, and very, very much similar styles. So like I was thinking like, I'm Joseph Gordon-Levitt, I'm living this, I'm going through this is about me, which is basically a very self-centered point of view that he has because of all these like movies that he watched that he misinterpreted, such as like The Graduate or like rom-coms and all this like, oh, my life isn't fulfilled until I find the one. And I was super wrapped up into that. I was also in film school, so like I was also watching all of those movies or rewatching those movies, especially, and thinking like, I want to make a movie like that. I want to live a life like that. But later, because I watched it a ton in college, I watched it like over and over and over, and like soon, even in that age, I realized like, she was super honest with him. Summer was super upfront with him and saying that like, I don't want a relationship. We are just friends. And it was Tom, Joseph Gordon-Levitt's character, that just assumed that he just hangs in there, that some kind of love will happen when it didn't, and she wasn't contracted to do that. And everybody, I remember watching this with I had a party back in college, and I had this movie on, and a bunch of us were watching it, and one of my friends, she said, it's like, I hate her, like, oh, what, you can't see that you have something good right in front of you. And I said, but does that mean that everybody that's a good partner, a good person, or seems like they're cute and they love, I guess, does that mean that you should take them and you're a bad person for not taking them? She goes, no, I just like, they're just not right for each other. Like she doesn't feel that for him. And what I really take away, especially this past rewatch, was how much she acknowledges that he helps her believe in love, basically, because she was like, love's not real, it's fantasy. And he's the one that kind of like, helped her basically move into her marriage when she met the guy of her dreams and had that connection and found love and realized it wasn't fantasy, it's real. What I really also like is that she was always pushing him to like, why aren't you doing your thing? Why aren't you in architecture? And she would just light up whenever he would talk about like architecture, not about like, oh, or, I'm just like, you're a super special guy. I'm just not like anybody else, blah, blah, blah. Like, it's all about me. It's all about me. You're a pretty girl and you complete me. You're like an accessory, basically. He treated her like an accessory. Mm-hmm. And it treated her like he doesn't love her. He just he just wants to look cool and feel cool with her. And she brought him in, led him into what he had been like ignoring. And it made me realize, like, wow, one is a shittier person in a relationship if you don't fulfill yourself first before you move into a relationship. Like, I mean, doesn't mean that every relationship's doomed if you're not perfect at that. No one's perfect at that. No one ever really totally has their shit together. But like, it's important to like really focus on like making yourself happy in that way, because he was just like lollygagging and floating day to day at work and being depressed and not focusing on architecture and just hoping he'd find the one, you know, that bullshit theory of like having that to make you complete. So now he does meet someone at the end in which he breaks the fourth wall. And after she reveals her name is Autumn, and it's just whoosh, you know, it just looks at us through the camera, and that indicated to me, it's like, oh, maybe you didn't grow. Maybe you're gonna make the same mistakes, which does happen in life. It does happen. But
what a wonderful way to finish us off, where it's just kind of like, my name's Autumn, and welcome to meeting me. And you know, what an interesting concept that it's kind of like, you know, you would have never met Autumn had Summer not forced you to fall back in love with what you really love to do, which is, you know, your architecture.
And he doesn't need to meet Autumn. He needs to get back to what makes him happy. You know, he doesn't need to find the next one or
like
next
you would have
girl,
been stuck at, you know, working in a greeting card place had you not met Summer. And first you meet Summer and she tells you, like, what do you actually like to do? You like architecture, so let's explore that. And it's like, you think you love Summer, what you really love is, you know, well, what you really love is architecture, but you think you're head over heels with Summer. I mean, that's a little bit of like a side note there, but it's like what he likes to do is, you know, the architecture is, you know, these buildings, these structures and things like that. He's exploring finding a job with architecture, and you may look at that as he's trying to find this escape to get away from his relationship or something. But like at the end of the movie, by him doing that, he meets Autumn. You know, it's like you may have thought that Summer was the one for you and she's getting married or has been married to this other guy. But now you just met the, you know, we'll call her the true love of your life, this woman named Autumn now. That wouldn't have even happened had Summer not started you on this road to, you know, architecture again by doing what you're doing.
It could just be someone he goes on, you know, a few dates with, or I mean, he ends up like dating for a little while.
We don't know that. I mean, it's whatever you want to assume.
And also, this film, I'm just going to put this out there right now, has not aged well at all.
No, not at all.
It's a film of its time in 2009. I mean, right off the bat, the opening quote were revealed. You see it's over all black over the it's right after your title cards, and we see author's note. The following is a work of fiction. Again, I'm quoting. This is not me saying. This is from the movie. It says, author's note. The following is a work of fiction. Any resemblance to persons living or dead is purely coincidental. Especially you, Jenny Beckman. Bitch. That's what it says. End quote.
Well, that's a real person too.
Yeah, exactly. It's like right off the bat, it's like, wow, this is like the whole point of like showing us that like Summer's a strong person and she's not this like imaginary person. She's not this manic pixie dream girl. She's not this like accessory to Tom. It's like, were you guys trying to like help us learn? Because it seems like the writers didn't even fucking learn. I don't know. Charlie, what did you think about it?
Okay, so first of all, can I just say that I'm really glad you have a woman on your podcast for this particular movie. Secondly, everything I'm about to say is completely just my opinion, and
that's what we want.
And whatever, you know, like versus like what people will think about my opinion, I don't care. This movie is a mirror. It is a screenplay in which someone holds up a mirror in front of people who will identify with Tom and agree with him, and then get angry because they agree with what's going on. It's really, really hard to fall in love with someone and know that they're not falling in love with you back, because and that's why I love the non-linear storyline here, because we jump back and we only remember, like through half the movie, we only see the really, really interesting and amazing parts of their relationship. This is told from his point of view specifically, because if it were told from Summer's point of view, it would be a really depressing story, right?
Right.
It would not be a dance number. There would not be happy. It would just be moments of passion, and it would be her just trying to figure out her entire existence in life. Whereas Tom, in this movie, she is his entire existence in life. So when we see that, we tend to just like identify with Tom, and by like halfway through the movie, especially people that have seen it for the first time, they realize things aren't going very well. They go, whoa, wait. He's doing all the right things. I don't understand. What a bitch. Summer's a bitch. I can't believe she's not giving him what he needs and deserves, without ever even stepping out of the film at all and realizing that Summer has done exactly what she needed to do, told him exactly what she needed to say, and done everything, and yet Tom still overstepped his boundaries. And now we have a movie that's basically just like, she's a bitch. So with that being said, when you see that part of yourself, you tend to get really angry and aggressive. And that's, I think, the really beautiful part of this movie is if you get the fact that Tom is really fucked up and what he's doing is not great, then you can really look at yourself, because that's what I think film should be. It's just like an inner, especially these nice indie films that get you to look inside yourself a little bit. And you go, oh shit, I did some really fucked up things in my relationship. And the older you get, the more you tend to like identify with that versus like when you're younger. I remember watching this movie 7-8 years ago and just being like, again, just like, I was the hopeless romantic. I was the one falling in love with people. Mm-hmm. I was the one doing, and I say this in quotation marks for our listeners, everything right. Because what is everything right to someone who is head over heels in love with somebody whom they have only known for a few months, even a year or 2 years? You don't know that ever. Yeah. And so when you're presented with all of the facts and you're presented with, hey, actually, nothing about this is perfect, and that person is like, well, I did everything right and you did this to me, that's a little fucked up, and it tends to ruffle some feathers. So I get why people love this movie. I get why people hate it.
Yeah. I think, Mare is a really good analogy for it, because and you're right, there's things where you realize like, oh, I realize I've been both Tom and Summer.
Yep. And I think everybody should be both Tom and Summer.
Yeah. I
think everybody should fall helplessly in love and figure out what they're doing and try to please and try to do everything right, because that's a step to fail. But like, failing in relationships just means that you're just going to get better at them. Like, that's just my honest opinion.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Failure, the best teacher is, as Yoda says in Last Jedi.
I thought this movie was fantastic when I watched this when I was younger. When I watched this for the very first time, like DJ was saying, I related with Tom Hansen's character. I thought everything he said was right on point, and I thought it was kind of like, yeah, Summer, what a bitch, and everything she's doing, like, I can, like I said, I could relate with Tom Hansen, and it all makes sense to me. When this came out, I was probably like 17 years old or something. This is 2009, so I just finished high school. So it was like, I was young. I was just starting film school. I was just watching The Graduate. I was just watching this movie. And I think there was another kid that was in my film school class, and the teacher was asking, what's everyone's favorite movie, or what are the best movies that are out there? And I think somebody actually answered 500 Days of Summer was the best movie that was made.
It's a very yummy film. It's beautiful to watch. And the mechanic of jumping around in space and time is really interesting. The way the film is built it's very consumable, and it's yummy in my tummy.
And I don't know this for sure, but because obviously this probably wasn't the first movie to do this, but was this one of the first mainstream movies to be an indie movie specifically that is like towing the line of a rom-com or a dark romantic comedy to be non-linear?
I think that's why it's I could be wrong, but yes, that's my theory.
Like,
yeah,
that's to me like is like one of the reasons why it's so successful. Obviously, if it were linear, we would understand Summer's perspective so much more.
Oh, for sure.
And we would understand what went wrong. But because it isn't, we get to like Tom's like whole jumping around and just like his like depression and his just like anger and his like kind of spiral. And I think that the way that it's presented and the time that it came out, because I was just like, rewatching it, I was just like, look at all these tropes. Ba-da-ba-ba-da-ba. And then
it's kind of a spoof. Yeah, it's a spoof on rom-coms.
But then I have to remember it's 12 years old.
Yeah.
And this may be like the start of a lot of rom-com tropes.
Yeah, like anti-rom-coms.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so as I'm just like trying not to roll my eyes at some of the stuff that's happening, I also just remember like, oh, this actually may be in like, this is like the creator, you know, it might be like where it all started.
Right.
I mean, it is indie AF. And I mean, I'll admit it. I love indie shit. I love A24. I love indie films.
I mean, I was thinking like you almost call this like a non-indie indie. Like
non-indie. It's like a hipster that becomes really popular in school, but he still wears a slouchy hat and his big glasses and his fucking skinny jeans and everything that I usually wear. And he is like, I'm still like, I'm not cool or whatever. It's like, dude, you're the most popular person in high school in the school. Like, you're not a hipster anymore.
For the listeners, he's literally just describing himself. So.
Yeah. I am wearing sweatpants underneath. You guys can't see this, but I do have some sweats on. It's gonna work out after this. Anyway, yeah, it's like someone who's like, it's like, well, you're not indie anymore. You're a very successful film. You know, it's not like you're just at Sundance or just at fucking, Tribeca. It's like, this is a very popular known film. And at the time, Zoe and Joseph Gordon-Levitt weren't really like this kind of ushered both of their careers in the spotlight big time. I mean, they were both in Manic at before this, which is really cool. And we knew her from Elf. We knew Zoe from Elf. Joseph Gordon-Levitt, we knew him from Third Rock from the Sun and Angels in the Outfield. And he did a lot of really cool indie films, such as like Brick with Rian Johnson, who directed Last Jedi and Knives Out. And he did Mysterious Skin. And he did he took some time where in his early 20s, mid 20s, where he did all these really cool indie films. And then this film for him and for her, like, pushed him forward. Like, I think he did Inception right after this, like he started like just banging them out. Same with Zoe. Mm-hmm.
Nice.
So I guess what I'm trying to say is like, yes, they were the quote unquote indie film for a little while.
I like, here's the thing, like, that's between this movie and I cannot recall what year Garden State came out, but I think it was 2009. I think it was like a 2006 or 7 movie.
Yeah, I think.
But it really did define a genre of film that was just like, here's a quirky indie movie that's like kind of funny and kind of sad. Which is, I mean, like, we still see that ripple effect today. I mean, they both went on to have like incredible careers. Even like most of the cast.
Yeah, like Clark Gregg. That was before the MCU, before he was in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
And not only that, but like we've got Chloe Grace Martinez there, and when she was a baby. Yeah,
and we had Nicole Brown before Community.
Yep, and Nicole Brown before Community as an extra, basically. Yeah,
just a little part.
Yeah. And then what's his name? The guy from Criminal Minds. I can't remember his name.
Oh yeah, he was the doctor. Yeah, the doctor friend.
I have some. Okay, so just as a very amateur screenwriter, I do have like questions about like the friend characters, but we can get to that once we. Once we get there.
We can get to
let's go to it now, because we're going to talk about more about the plot and the factoids of it. But if you have something like that, let's hit it now.
I always, and I can't tell if it's because I'm still just like an amateur or whatnot, but when I see like little things like multiple friends with multiple perspectives. I always just hear like a voice in my head that's just like, why can't they be one character? Do you guys have that voice in your head when you see like multiple characters in films giving kind of the same perspective?
Yeah,
because
so
when we see his friends, and his friends are super important in this film, even though they have like such a minimal role.
Yeah.
Because at the very beginning, when we're at basically 500 days, they are consoling him, and then we go back and we see him at like almost day one, and he talks about Summer, and there's this girl, and then they give each other this amazing look, which is literally like, and again, like this goes towards Tom's character of like not being as redeemable as you think he is. These friends just give this look to each other like, here we go again. And also, we see Chloe constantly reminding him that she's not special because he's probably just gone on and on to her about other women and how special they are and known that he's taken this road. This is clearly not the first time Tom.
It's a pattern. Yeah, you're right. Like when they're playing Wii tennis, and she's like, just some bizarro girl likes the same crap as you do. Doesn't mean she's your soulmate.
And that's another thing that like really like caught my attention of being like, oh yeah, how many times have I latched onto a person just because I'm just like, oh my god, you like this band?
You like anime?
Wow.
I like anime. Yeah.
Oh my god, fireworks?
Yeah.
Fireworks? And they're just like, no, I just
Isn't that how
watch
most
anime,
relationships start though? Is it's just kind of like, do you like My Chemical Romance? You do? Oh my gosh!
Of course.
Wow! Like we're a
do
connection.
Do you also like one of the most popular bands of like a certain era? Like me too. Oh my god! But
Your favorite movie, Sleeping Beauty?
In the movie, it kind of comments that, but it does it in such a smooth, feel good way where people, like you said, Charlie, like people kind of just see like, oh yeah, it is the stars line. Like they had this whole breakdown of Summer, like the Summer effect, as they kind of the narrator, as we listen to a lot, played by Richard McGonigal, and we hear this like breakdown of like Summer, how like she said her high school yearbook quote, like color my life with the chaos of trouble, and like this band is super
Belle and Sebastian.
Got like a bunch of more sales, and her Summer at the ice cream shop, they got like a huge amount of sales, and she gets all these double takes on the bus, and her apartments are always cheaper and stuff, and it kind of like it breaks down of like, oh,
that's just the male gaze right there. Okay, everyone's like, I can't get over Zooey Deschanel.
It's like, dudes are horny for her. We get it, and then it's like all these straight dudes, I should say.
Everyone on the bus, all the people who are renting out her apartment, just like, I like to look at Zooey Deschanel. So
and I don't think it was the intent of the writer to write this. What I'm going to say from my perspective, because I think it was the intent of the writer, or the writers, I should say, to be like, she's pretty and she's fun and she's likable.
But they filmed it also as the male gaze, basically, because it's just men.
They filmed it as the male gaze. It's just men, always men. Even the ice cream line's all men. Like the landlord was a man, the band or whatever. But I think one of the biggest things was just a woman dealing with an effect she has no idea what's happening around her. Like and she's not oblivious, but that's the reason why she's so like blocked. Like you cannot understand the male gaze and what it's like to just be just like, here's my girlfriend, I want to star in a video game, versus just like, here's my girlfriend and she's super cool and interesting and talk to her for a long time. Like, I feel like that is like an overlooked aspect of this movie, only because we are seeing it from like the male gaze, that we never really just understand like Summer's perspective of just being like, yeah, I'm pretty and I'm interesting and this kind of sucks. Like,
it almost like it should have, because at the beginning we see the opening song, which was it's not Ingrid Michaelson.
It's Us by Ingrid Michaelson.
It's Ingrid Michaelson? I thought it was
pretty sure. Yeah.
I thought it was the other person that's very similar in music style as Ingrid Michaelson. Anyway, we'll go back to that. But the opening credits we see both of them in like parallel to each other. We see in their childhoods. So we kind of get the feel that like, at least I remember when I first watched this, that it was going to be about both of them. We were going to see the background of Tom, but we're also going to see like the origin story basically of Summer, like maybe like her parents divorced and stuff, and
which we only get talked about that in narrative. Like that was the only backstory that we ever hear about Summer was in narrative.
Just narrative, yeah. Or she cut off her hair and she loved it and she felt nothing when she cut it off. Yeah.
Again, like, is that, I hate to get like this person, but is that her narrative or is that like the constructed narrative that like Tom built for her? Is this a movie completely from Tom's perspective? Do we know if the narrator is like bipartisan or not? Well,
there was a in the commentary, which it had the writers and Mark Webb and Jessica Gordon-Levitt in there talking about the movie. They talk about at the end of the movie that when Tom and Summer meet, and Summer's already married, Tom has been going to a bunch of interviews for his architecture endeavor, and they talk and they kind of have like some closure, and they have like it was a really good like ending moment for them, because like he does wish her happiness, and she's, acknowledging that like, she got him to her believe in love, and, it just wasn't her that he was right about. That's all. And they have a good last moment together. There's some back and forth between that group, Joe Gordon-Levitt, Mark Webb, and the writers, that scene may have not have really happened. That might have been in his head, just like the dance that he had post first hookup with Summer. That was all in his head, that he was there sitting by himself on that seat in his suit, just by himself, and imagine Summer coming up. She does just appear out of nowhere. If you go look back, she appears out of nowhere. And Joe Gordon-Levitt, I know that was at least one of them that said, Regina Spektor, by the way, that was the music artist I was trying to think. Regina Spektor. Yeah. I always get Regina Spektor. I love both her music, Regina Spektor and Ingrid Michaelson.
Her, like the big three, Regina Spektor, Ingrid Michaelson, and Lily Allen.
Yeah. All great music, by the way. Yeah.
All amazing.
But like kind of like in a similar genre. But yeah, so what do you guys think? Do you think that scene at the ending scene happened or not? Do you think it actually happened? Never
even like that is like something I didn't even think about.
Where they're sitting in the park, like on the bench?
Yeah, because Joe Gordon-Levitt said in the commentary, he's like, I also like to think that like I danced with a bunch of people and had an animated bird come out to me in real life, but we all know that didn't actually happen.
Well, I don't think that actually happened. No.
So
do you think he had the closure in his head?
There's so much about that statement that makes this movie like a different level of just like he's going through a type of like
he's
rejection.
Crazy.
We no, I won't say that because it's not. It's
I was just
not
joking.
No, I know.
There was actually no 500 Days of Summer at all.
He's in Inception. He's streaming in its inception. Yeah.
But I mean, it's such a beautiful, and I will keep saying this throughout this entire recording. This is a beautiful story told by an incredibly toxic man.
Very so.
And also, like, relationship toxicity, it doesn't have to be male. It can be very female as well. It can be any type of gender across the spectrum. If you focus on one person and the only thing you can think of is the rest of your life with that person, and they are just not sure, there are so many things that you can omit about your relationship, and these dreams that you dream up, and your head just focuses on one or a few particular memories, or they can create new memories in order to justify the way you're feeling. Like, that's an important part of this story that I think maybe a lot of people overlook, is that he's justifying his shitty behavior by just remembering things a little weird.
I mean, he should have listened to her from the start where she said she wasn't looking for a relationship.
Yep.
She just wanted to be his friend. And then he just keeps on going on cruise control, just thinking like, yeah, that's fine. We can just be friends. And so maybe they hook up and maybe they have sex. And then even as he's in the car with her and he's like, what are we doing? Like, are we in a relationship? And she's like, why does it matter? Why do we need to put a label on it? And he's like, okay, I guess that's fine. And it's like, dude, take a hint right there. Like, she doesn't want to put a label on it. So it's like, if you want to put a label on it, then get out or just accept your friends.
So here's my response to that, Adam. So, yes, I absolutely see that, I mean, this is definitely, after watching this a few times, growing up and going through different relationships and playing the role of Tom, definitely, and also being in life and also playing the role of Summer, definitely, more often than I anticipated, actually, in the past 12 years. Here's the thing I do kind of like fault her about is that when he does ask her, when Tom does ask Summer in the car, so what are we? What are we doing? That's a time when someone wanted clarification because he wanted to know what's the rules are. This is post him talking to his little sister about what's going on. She's like, you just have to talk to her, because before you know it, she's gonna end up in bed with Lars with Norway, who's has Brad Pitt's face and Jesus's abs, and so it's important. If you want to be in a monogamous relationship, it's like, what are we? Do you want to be in a monogamous relationship? Okay, if we're not, then if we're just hookup buddies, then that's cool too. And she does kind of dodge it. We're just like, who cares? I'm happy, aren't you? He does kind of sideline. Granted, he should have followed up with that. If he really wanted to know it, he should have fucking, had some courage and be like, no, I do want to know. I want to know, is this a monogamous relationship? Is it not? It's okay if it's one or the other. I just need to know so I know what I can expect. And he was really wanting, now this is not cool of him, that he really wanted he wanted assurance from her that she's not going to just wake up one morning and feel differently. As she also states, and it's very true, that no one can give you that. She can't give him that. No one can. But what he really should have asked is, I need to know that, from what we say, we're in a relationship until we say we're not in a relationship. Then we can move forward in our separate ways or date other people or what have you. So it was just more of the communication was at that point. Granted, she said in the beginning, I didn't want to be in a relationship, and for all intents and purposes, they were fuck buddies, they were hookup buddies, which does happen. I don't know if you know this, listeners, but that is a real thing. That does happen, and when you're in your adult years, hopefully not in your children. She made it very clear from the beginning. She made it very clear from the beginning that she did not want to be in a relationship. Yeah. He followed up with her, what's it going to be? And not be in a relationship. They were dating, but they were not in a relationship, and that is very common. Just because you kiss someone, you're not in a relationship, and then, doesn't mean you're boyfriend, girlfriend, or husband and wife, or wife and wife, husband, husband, automatically.
I cannot tell you how many times when I was a tween talking to my internet boyfriends because we sent messages back and forth to each other. The term relationship is so wild and insane. It is something that needs to be so hammered down. It really does.
You write a contract,
and,
yeah.
Yeah. And I don't know, it's that verbal agreement is just kind of binding. And when you don't hear it, sometimes you'll hear it unintentionally. I'm just oh, aren't we having fun? Aren't you happy? Yeah, I'm happy. Cool.
Are you happy with me? Yeah.
We're in a relationship.
Yeah.
Great. Which is, I think, exactly what Tom heard.
Yep.
And going forward, he just kind of rolled with it, which is...
Yeah. He wasn't listening, too. He wasn't listening.
And again, wow, the amount of non-communication on Tom's part, but also Summer's of just not listening to each other.
Yeah, I mean, she at that point you kind of know that this guy really digs me, and he wants more than I don't want. And
the thing about it is sometimes you're still just figuring it out. Sometimes you really like a guy or a person, And you were just like, wow, this is really intense. I'm digging it, but I'm still not 100% sure. I need a little more time. Could that have been said? Yes. Would it have been taken like in a good way? Probably not with Tom's character. Mm-hmm. Like, could you imagine just like Tom just like being hit with the I have a lot of fun with you, but I don't know where this is going and I'm still trying to figure it out. Like the 4 or 5 months in where he was just like, I'm totally in love with this girl and I'm gonna marry her. You know, like like what would he have done versus letting Summer figure her shit out? And also just like Summer just being afraid just to tell him that is shitty.
Yeah, she was out of her element. She had just moved from Michigan to L.A. Tom had grew up there. Granted, he was originally from New Jersey, but his family moved there. He also mentioned that he was from a divorced family. So, and his sister moved there. And they acknowledged in the commentary that his sister is more likely a half sister from his mom's new marriage or new relationship. They kind of just mostly did that because she was so much more white than him, very light skinned and blonde. They're like, why does she look those different? This is why, because they have different fathers. But basically what I'm saying is that he was, he had been there for a while. He's much more comfortable, and therefore, that's a lot to expect from this woman. That's like, oh, we're in a relationship now, and she's like, whoa, I just moved to Los Angeles.
And
I'm
also,
from the Midwest.
Like, she was very super upfront, not just like about the whole like, I don't want a relationship, but also just like, yeah, I don't believe in this, and this is kind of weird, and
before
I just kinda,
anything happened,
I don't like it, and then he kind of forces it on her. I will say, like, another critique of Summer, because we touched on it earlier, that I'd like to roll back to, that I don't like, is I mean, I get that it worked out in the end. I mean, sort of, we kind of don't know, is that she pushed him to be like an architect. And for some reason, that bothered me.
Yeah, I mean, he doesn't have to be an architect. That's true.
I also just, like, understand, like, he's just trying, like, he even talks about just, like, getting out of college and trying to make money, and he couldn't find a job as an architect. And he just,
this didn't work out. Yeah.
I didn't work out. Like, I got this job at a greeting card company because, like, it paid me well. Or
need a job, and here we are.
It's a job, and here we are. And when people are just like, what? You didn't follow your dreams? Well, do that. Like, this is not the Little Rascals. Like, we all live in a world where we need to, like, fucking man up and like get jobs and make ends meet. Like, we all have bills. To do that.
Yeah.
And whenever I see a movie where they're just like, quit your job and be a poet in like,
goddamn,
like
I wish it was
Oklahoma
that
City.
easy. I wish it was that easy.
I get like it's
who's gonna buy you food? Who's gonna pay your rent?
The way she talks to him about being an architect
kind of shames him.
Clearly.
Can you imagine though if you were Joseph Gordon-Levitt though with your chalkboard wall and you're like, none of these places are hiring me. I just quit
that was a
my
cool
fucking job.
Wall.
I do like his wall, but yeah, just he quit his job and he's got no money. Okay, go.
Oh my god!
But you're right, Charlie. He does kind of she does kind of have these like moments of like at the party. She's like, yeah, Tom could be a good architect if he tried or he wanted to. And then like in the train, she's like, oh, what are you doing? She's like, are you still working at the office? He goes. Yeah, she goes, oh, okay.
Like, of course he is. It's his fucking job, bitch. Like, what else would you think?
What are you doing, Zoe?
What are you doing? Where did you go? Are you still a secretary?
Yeah.
Are you still
what are you doing now?
Like,
what makes you so much better, Zoe?
Oh my god.
Because we never knew actually what she wants to do. It's not like she's like rocking in whatever career she chose.
And also that's another testament of just like the male gaze of how the story is that we really don't ever figure out what she does, wants to do, is doing.
It's like, did Tom even ask her?
No, I'm probably assuming that he did not.
Yeah.
He wanted to get into her apartment and see her space, and he did. And as he was going through the apartment, which I really love this scene of him just like going around looking at her artwork and seeing her origami and like things like that. But
a lot of great shots.
What I really loved about the toxicity about this scene was we were never really told anything about it. Which if I as a viewer, if I keep the mindset as a viewer, means he doesn't know anything about it, which means he never cared to learn. He only wanted to be in her space.
Yeah.
That was
just
it.
want to get in there.
Yeah. And then they were talking about dreams when they were in the bed, which I adored. I love that scene. But then it was literally like, as she's talking about these dreams, we hear a voiceover that's literally just him talking about like, I can't believe I'm in her head. Yeah. This is awesome. I love this.
It literally tunes her out.
Yeah, it literally tunes her out. And then he was like, and then I heard the words that I have wanted to hear. I've never told that to anybody before. And he was like, yes. And then I want to be like, Tom, fucking repeat that shit then.
Yeah, exactly. He says, I guess I'm not just anyone. She goes, yeah, I never told anyone that before. I guess I'm not just anyone before. And then it's such a self-centered response. You're absolutely right. I do like how the very next scene that he's followed by getting razzed by his friends, though, playing Pac-Man. But yeah, no, you're absolutely right. It was all from his point of view, and I do agree with you that because we don't really see much of the place of her apartment, it's all because he's not even noticing. And when she's talking, now granted, I do like it, and it's very romantic and it's very dreamlike. It's very almost like Terrence Malick. I like when someone is talking in a scene and then we are then shown different moments of that night or what's around us as that character keeps talking. Not a narrator, but it was Zoe. It was Summer that was talking. And she goes like, I guess I start dreaming. I'm running really fast and then everything's really slow. And
then he's
in
just
a moment,
like observing. Yeah.
They're like, what we're presented though as an audience is we see them sitting up together and kissing, and she's like, taking like an eyelash off of his eye, and he's like blowing it to make a wish.
Which is like, again, like that little part, just like, it's such a weird, just like, you make a wish. Like, it's like,
it's my wish. Tom.
I also just like love that little like aspect of just like, again, it's a nod to just like him having the power of him making the wish over what he wants.
Yep.
Which, I mean, it's very good screen work and it's very good storytelling.
And like it basically shows that like you're not listening. You're just thinking about. She's telling you this dream, and this is like literally what he's thinking. He's just thinking of like, oh, remember when she like moved an eyelash off my eye and I made a wish.
Yeah.
And while she's talking about her dream.
I wish we'd be together forever. And then she's still talking and he's not paying attention at all.
Well, what about the time they were on the train together on their way to that wedding party, and she's talking about how she sent him all those letters that he didn't write her back to.
Wait, what?
Yeah, she mentioned that she sent him letters, and she's like, I haven't heard back from you. I wrote you. And
she did write him an email, and I do remember at one point it showed us the email while they were like, zooming forward. It was like right before the do like that part. It was right before that. He opens his email and his friend goes, he's like starting to laugh too. I do like his friends. I do agree with you as a screenwriting mechanic. It probably would have worked better if they were just the same guy.
Well, see, here's the thing. That's just like my screenwriting mind, just like thinking of like what people would tell me. I love them separate. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
I think
and they're both
they
funny
need to be
guys.
separate, and they're both fucking hysterical, and they work on a different level. Because every single time, like I wrote I wrote like two separate people. I always get that over like, but like, can't they be one person? And I'm just like, I mean, I guess, but like,
they don't have to.
Yeah, they don't have to be.
Would you want them to be one person though? Like ignoring any kind of like screenwriting notes from anybody or rules?
Because I love the perspective of like, even though we only hear from them very minimally.
Yeah, like one's kind of pervy and one's like in a relationship he's been in since the 90s, So that's
the
big
two
difference.
separate people is one never gets a relationship and one's got a never-ending relationship. Otherwise, they're both pretty much the same person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which
they're both supportive friends.
I love the fact that they're two people.
Yeah, I mean, I do too. And so I did really like in the scene where he, right before he opens that email that you're talking about, Adam, is that he starts laughing and he goes, "So did you get her back yet or what?" He cuts to Joe's face and he's just like,
His hair's like super disheveled.
So messy.
Dudes, I tell you, men.
And
Did you get her back yet?
He opens the email and he's like, "Oh, there it is," and he opens it and it's like, "Hey, I can't this week. So nice to hear from you. Maybe next week. I hope this means you're ready to be friends." And he's just like, "Oh." So I'm guessing he probably didn't reply to that at all. Adam.
Well, he didn't because they're on the train.
Yeah.
She's like, "I haven't heard back from you. Like, I sent you a bunch of like letters," and he's like, "Oh,
was it letters or emails?"
I mean, however you want to interpret it.
Yeah,
I think
okay. Electronic
I think she
letters.
just says, "I wrote you."
Yeah.
And then like
he just didn't respond because it wasn't what he wanted to hear. Yeah. So later on in the film, and this is also later on linearly in the story, folks, just to remind you that we are revisited after the scene where Tom was talking to his sister, and this is like post breakup, and she basically gives him, like, his sister's very wise, played by Chloe Grace Moritz, fantastic actress, and she basically tells him, like, "I think you're only remembering the good stuff. Next time you look back, I think you should take a look deeper." And he starts thinking about their last moments together. And it was around when they were walking around. Also, another testament of how this movie is now not of this time is this is around when VHSs in a video store were a thing. And this is also pre-smartphone era too. This is like still flip phones, and you can see that when they're in the karaoke scene and they're like, "Man, how was that Knight Rider theme song? I don't know. It's gonna bother me like for like a week." And it's like nowadays all we do is like pull out like Google or YouTube. It's like, "Oh, okay, we got the theme." But this is like a testament to this is not of this era anymore. It's right before smartphones became a thing. So we're in the record store with Tom and Summer, and this is around the time they also like go get something to eat at the diner, and they're talking about going to see the movie. They're going to see The Graduate. So basically that whole evening that they have together, they were originally filming this and it wasn't working a little bit because it was meant to show that like Summer was now not feeling it anymore, basically. And what was said in the commentary, again, I'm paraphrasing, that Mark Webb talked to Zoe and was like, "Okay, last week or a couple days ago, you met someone, and that guy is the guy that ends up being your husband, but you actually went out with him, and he asked you out for a drink. You went with him. You had a great time. You talked to him. He made you laugh. He walked you back to your place, and you kissed, and then you went back inside, and he left, and that was before you had recently seen Tom again." So then after he gave her those notes, they went into the scene and she was thinking about that. And he's like, "Perfect." Because then she had this like feeling of like almost like slight guilt because she responded to Mark Webb saying like, "What? I wouldn't cheat on him. Like, I wouldn't do that." And he goes, "Well, it's not cheating, like, because you aren't in a relationship." And two, people are imperfect. People are imperfect. Stuff like this happens. And you can tell there's also an affection that Summer has for Tom because he keeps asking her like, "What's wrong? What's wrong?" He's like, "I'm just tired." And she gives him, "I think I want to call it a night." And she gives him a kiss on the side of the cheek, and she cares about him as a person. And then he doesn't listen to her. That's like, "I want to call it a night." He's like, "I know, pancakes." I mean, that was after she said, "I'm tired, let's call it a night." She gives him a kiss on the cheek because she needs time to figure out. And he goes, "I know, pancakes." Like, dude, are you fucking listening to her?
I also just like love the idea of just like a dude just like not honing in on symbols like that. But when you're trying to figure out like that big a moment, like, and you need that space and a guy won't give it to you, that's just like such an outstanding, like, that's like almost your decision making point.
Yeah. It's like, well, he's not making it any.
Yeah,
he's making it pretty easy to make this decision.
Like, honestly, like, as a lady, like, that's what makes or breaks your relationship. Can you give me some space? Absolutely. or no. And you're just like, okay, I'm gonna go with the absolutely, dude, because I can have space to think about this relationship and this potential new dude. And yeah.
And I thought the performance of that worked so well. And a lot of people like come down on Zoe. Like, of course, there's there's that was it that used to be on SNL, Quirky Girls with SNL or something like that, and it was funny and stuff, and it was and she was even on the show too, as she played. Zoe was guesting one time as hosting, and she played Mary Kate Olsen on it, or Ashley Olsen, one of the Olsen twins, while someone else was playing Zoe Deschanel, it was kind of funny. But there's this like whole thing about Zoe that I've heard, around New Girl era, where people are like, oh, she's just like playing on how cute she is, blah, blah, blah. And like, she's not even that good. I'm like, no, she's actually a really good actress. Like, she's really good. And this is one of the examples. That's
such a weird thing to like throw me overboard. I want to drown in the waters with the other people of the Titanic, because for someone to sit there and go, I don't like her, she's too quirky. What does that mean?
Yeah, exactly.
Like, what does that mean? And also, like, she's a phenomenal actress. Like, she's done so many, like, really good roles.
Yeah.
But then, like, as someone who's an avid New Girl fan and knows that like where her like genre needs to be is comedic, because she's got great comedic timing, but also she's not like a lead actor. Like, I know she's played lead stuff and I know that's what her deal is, but when she found her niche in New Girl, it was not the lead, it was kind of supporting, and she fucking rocked it. Like, it is such a phenomenal show. Like, season like 3 through I think 7 is when they ended. And I feel like in this movie, in 500 Days of Summer, she's not a lead. She's kind of a supporting actress.
Yep.
She's just supporting the main character. And
she's great.
Rocks it. She's great. But like at the end of the day, it's hard to be a female in movies without getting judged the shit out of.
People just hating Zoe Deschanel for being herself. Like, is
for
that
being
what?
not just I won't even say herself, because I don't know her personally.
Yeah.
But her acting, like a director being like, I need you to be this type of person, and she goes, I got this, and then people are like, what a bitch. Like, could you imagine being as a female actress, it's just like having that? And the same thing happened, like, I'll say it, the same thing happened to Kristen Stewart. Like, when they were just like, she was told to do that, what a, like, thumbs down, what a bitch.
Do you think that, and I don't know this for sure, do you think that some, especially men, get mad at these women that are, very conventionally beautiful, and like, for instance, she doesn't quote unquote deliver to Tom, and do you think people get mad at them because they see themselves as Tom, therefore they call her a tease, they call her, like someone that's just like playing with him? They think they're entitled to her, basically? Do you think that? Maybe? I'm not sure.
Yes, and that's why I made the mirror comment earlier. It's a mirror. You're looking at yourself and you're getting angry because you don't like what's happening and you're getting angry about it. Like, you can't demand things of women, and you can do, again, like we've talked about this, but you can do everything right and it still goes wrong, and you can't get mad about that. But it's human nature to get mad about that.
Yeah, she's not a bad person for not having the same feelings that he does.
Right.
It doesn't make her bad or evil or a tease or anything like that. And she was straight up with them, like that one blind date that he was on with the redhead. And she's like, so she told you right up from the beginning that she didn't run a relationship. And he goes, I got an idea. And he goes straight to karaoke, doesn't listen to her.
Karaoke!
Yeah.
Which is where they met. Like, where, like, Summer and him, like, had the first hookup. Like,
Just trying to
Like-
emulate her into her.
Yep.
It's like, all right, and when she leaves, like, all right, fine, don't look at anything on Summer, a waste of time. And it's like, wow, dude, like, geez.
Jesus, man.
Cheez-Its and crackers.
Jesus. I want to bring up real quick an article from the University of Maryland, Baltimore County, from this thing called The Retriever. It's actually, I want to agree wholeheartedly with a lot of the stuff you said, Charlie. The article is called 500 Days of Sexism, which relates completely to how I viewed this movie now versus how I viewed this movie when I was younger. Because watching this movie recently, I certainly saw it in a very different light. And I think very much how you probably watch this movie now, DJ, because as we talk about this movie now, after all of the comments pretty much that we've made throughout this episode, the article very much talks about how the author of this article was saying when they watched this movie for the very first time when it first came out, they agreed with Tom in a lot of things. They agreed with Tom about how he felt in the relationship with Summer. They thought Summer was in the wrong, versus watching it now, how they see that it's a very stereotypical sexist look on how the whole thing is being, the whole picture's being painted here. And they start to go into some other examples as well, such as, the lyrics to Hotline Bling by Drake. And there's some other things as well. And it's really very interesting to think about all of this now, too. I just don't see 500 Days of Summer the same way anymore. Watching it now and thinking like, wow, how could I not see before the way this movie really is, with Tom just trying to pour all of this guilt onto Summer, like everything's her fault and she's such a bitch. And it's not even him just saying that. It's him and all of his male friends saying it's the woman's fault and everything is the problem of women.
Well, do they? I'm trying
They
to
do.
think. Do they? I mean, I'm having trouble recalling this.
No, they really do.
I mean, they say, like, you're the best guy I know. You'll get over her. Like, we see the end at the beginning, and they're like, you'll. There's plenty of other fish in the sea, and they kind of tease him, like, should you get back at her or what?
No, and they do say she's an uppity skank.
That's at the beginning, though. It was shitty, but that was at the beginning when Summer first started working at the greeting card place, and he's like, yeah, I think she's an uppity, better, everybody's super skank or whatever. He's like, fine, she'll be that way, fine, whatever. That's like right at the beginning. I'm just curious at the end, though. I don't think that I think they were just kind of telling Tom, like, get over her, move on.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think that they weren't like pro Summer, but they weren't like, oh, I can't believe she did that to you. I don't think anybody was, including his sister for sure. I think they were just kind of like, well, you'll get over it, man. Like, it's going to be fine. Even his sister is like, yeah, girls have broken up with you before. You've broken up with the girls before. And like, why is this different? And like Charlie was saying, this is definitely a pattern, which I had not thought about before.
Yeah. Oh God, yeah. It's a pattern for sure. They've been like, his whole family and friend network has been protecting him for a really long time.
Yeah. And I got also some factoids here. This one's from the NZ Herald, and this is a fact that I'm sure a lot of people know, but this script is mostly based on a true story. According to E! News screenwriter Scott Neustadter, of The Spectacular Now, Disaster Artist, he also worked on that as well. He reveals on the DVD commentary on 500 Days of Summer that it is 75% based on a real relationship he went through. This is joked about the title card, as I mentioned earlier, which features a pointed insult to Jenny Beckman, which may or may not be her real name. Writing for the Daily Mail in 2009, Neustadter revealed he sent the script to Jenny, using quotations. It had surprised and moved her because she really related to Tom. Yes, incredibly, Jenny hadn't recognized herself as Summer at all. Wow, dude, what a shitty move. Like, hey, I wrote the script about you.
That's what we were talking about in the beginning. Jenny's a real lady.
I can't undermine the idea of like someone just like writing their like poetic piece for someone and them sending it to
Their
that
ex.
person, and then that person being like, man, the person who's supposed to be you, I relate to completely.
Even when they're not on speaking terms.
Wait, what?
Yeah. That's all. Wait, that's not you.
Excuse me. No, wait, you're the... No, I'm the main character. That's what I do.
Yeah. No, I'm Sid. Yeah. So I'm Nancy. Yeah. Also, the casting was fateful. According to Entertainment Weekly, several actresses reportedly eyeing the project, but they wanted Tom's character to be gender flipped. When director Mark Webb met Gordon Levitt, he asked him who he thought should play Summer, and without missing a beat, he said Zooey Deschanel. She was soon hired, and Gordon Levitt became attached shortly after. I really believe you can't just cast a person, said Webb. Especially in a situation like this, you have to cast a chemistry. You have to cast a dynamic. You have to cast two people that work well together. Of course, I agree with that.
I am only going to say this in a weird way because I hope that those that's flipped of like if there were like a female lead, she would be able to choose her supporting castmate.
Oh yeah.
And the idea of just like they went to the actor that they hired and were just like, what woman do you like? You can choose from many of these.
Absolutely.
Zoe? Perfect. That's great. That's
pick your girl.
Like,
yeah,
crappy. But also
terrible.
just like I love Joseph, and I know that he, like Gordon Levitt, has a pretty decent track record of being a very good dude.
Decent dude, yeah. He was actually, and I totally agree with you on this. For instance, that. Period. Side note, the writer, Neustadter, his first pick for Tom was Joseph Gordon-Levitt. Mm-hmm. He wanted him. He's like, I want Joe to play this character. But I totally agree with you that it should be the other way around where like, hey, we got this famous actress. Who do you want to be the dude?
I was just saying, like, if it were just like the roles reversed in, like, if it were a female lead, they would be able to, like, I guess, pick their male.
Yeah, Julie Roberts, pick your man meat. Yeah.
Yeah. Hell yeah.
Gene Hackman.
It's Gene Hackman. Beautiful.
Anthony Hopkins, he's my man meat.
500 Days of the Father.
Could you imagine me being like a lead actress, like working my way up just to be like, who do you want to be your supporting? And I'd be like, Adam Driver.
Yeah, I'm Driver.
He's not even on the list. I don't care.
Jerry Seinfeld.
Adam Driver.
Make sure he has those pants that go straight up to his ribs and no shirt.
I want it to go straight up to his top rib.
Make sure those nipples are showing.
Oh, Lord.
Also in this, it says that we're not supposed to side with Tom, as we talked about. But many walked away from this film thinking Summer was cruel to have left Tom, and that he was a poor, broken-hearted, nice guy. But in an interview with Playboy in 2012, Gordon Levitt asked fans to think again. Quote, the 500 Days of Summer attitude he wants you so bad seems attractive to some women and men, especially younger ones. But I would encourage anyone who has a crush on my character to watch it again and examine how selfish he is, he said. He also says he develops a mildly delusional obsession over a girl onto whom he projects all these fantasies. He thinks she'll give his life meaning because he doesn't care much about anything else going on in his life. A lot of boys and girls think their lives will have meaning if they find a partner who wants nothing else in life but them. That's not healthy. That's falling in love with the idea of a person, not the actual person. End quote.
Again, I love this dude.
Thanks,
a lot.
Joseph Gordon-Levitt. So I was trying to say.
When, like, it's such a toxic thing to teach people, especially young people, that your entire identity is just who you will marry and who you will be with. Like, I can't, like, I'm someone that grew up in the South where all my cousins just had to marry the first person. Like, I can't tell you just, like, how many of my cousins are just like tried to marry at like 16 or like 18.
That's
and
not
I'm
healthy.
just like, what is happening? And they're just like, it's true love. And I'm just like, it's not though. It's like, it's fucking not.
It's high school,
and
man.
they're just
That's
like,
not
it's
love.
a high
And you're
school.
both are children still. Even at 18, you're both children.
Yeah. But the idea of like, and if I were to show this movie to those same cousins who married very young or who got pregnant very young. And they would identify with Tom, and they would be like, this is what I did. I poured my heart out. I did the things. I did the work. And my man still left me. And it's just like, of course they did. You can't be, your relationship should never be your personality. Ever. Ever. Full stop. You should be your personality. How can anybody fall in love with you if you don't completely love yourself?
Yeah.
And I know that's an incredibly hard thing to do.
Yeah.
Because some days I love myself way more than others. And that's what relationships are.
Yeah.
Some days I wake up and I love my partner way more than I love him other days.
Yeah.
And the same thing with my fucking self. Like it is an ebb and flow and it works, but I can't be at 100 like Tom was in this movie all the time. And I think that that's exactly what he wanted. And I think that's exactly what we saw through like the first half of the movie. Everything at 100 versus like the complete dip when everything broke apart.
I mean, to add to that, he also has a lot of moments where he's just kind of being just grumpy and shitty with her. Like, he's also not like Joe Gordon-Levitt said, like, he's loving the idea of her. He's like, oh, nobody likes Ringo. Like, what do you say, piggies? Like, what?
Yeah.
Like, what are you talking about? Like, he's just kind of like shitty and grumpy. And as she says, all we do is argue. He's like, that is bullshit. Like, and he's not really in love with her.
And they have that like massive argument in the diner. Yeah, which I completely forgot about until like when you said it. But they have that massive argument in the diner where he's just like, and she literally spelled it out for him, just like, you don't know me, basically. Like, you're not paying attention to me. You don't know me. And he's just like, this is fucking bullshit. I'm leaving. And he walked out. And she's actively, here's the thing. Oh my God, I'm coming to realizations. She could have loved him if he would have just gotten better. And I won't say better in a way of just like, oh, you have to change yourself. Of just being a better version of yourself is never changing yourself for a person. It is just evolving. It's like a Pokemon. Just evolve.
Yeah.
I love it.
Get to your Charizard level.
Yeah. And this dum-dum is sitting at Carmelian and thinking he's a Charizard. Like, who are you, Tom? Like, get
You don't have
Tom,
wings.
you got a train.
You don't have wings.
You can't
Get some rare
fly
candy.
me anywhere.
Eat some
Tom,
rare
go
candy.
back to hanging out with Ash.
Eat a Sparkix crystal.
Get
Put
to
it up
the
your
gym
ass.
and start training.
I forgot we did that.
Yeah,
boy.
reference to Journey Pugs.
Jigglypuff is waiting for you, okay?
He wants to be a Clefairy. We all are nerds. Anyway, so yes, it doesn't seem like, I totally agree. Like there was a chance for her because she was at least attracted to him and she found him interesting. You know, he thought he was cool and like it was his attitude.
The biggest hurdle for women, and I'm going to be very honest with you, is just being like a little attracted to you. And if you can just like get that just like interest of just like, okay, all you have to do is just like play it cool and just be a person. And that's it. But so many men decide to just take it either like it's never here. Like, for our listeners, I'm holding my hands at a level point. But it's always just like so extreme we can't deal with it, or so nonchalant that we're just like, oh, okay, well, get the fuck out of here.
Yeah, I'm guilty of that.
Never
guilty.
here.
Guilty. Yep. I'm guilty of both those things.
Damn.
I think that this episode should teach everyone how to date.
It's a learning lesson, that's for sure.
It is, and it's a coming of age, you know, and hopefully Tom we're led to believe that in some aspect at the end. On that note, let's go into our final verdict for this film. This is the time where we go ahead and give our verdict, which is very binary, but we also fill it in with our final thoughts, which is either a slurps up or a slurps down. Slurps up means we like the film and we recommend it, and slurps down means the opposite. We don't like it, we don't recommend it. So we'll go around, and Adam, I'm going to ask you to start us off.
I will give the old 500 Days of Summer the old slurps up treatment, simply because although we've given this film the back and forth on the moral values of whether or not the film gives good content in terms of how do I say, I don't even know the proper English terminology I should be using here right now. Is it the male gaze, the male perspective? Is Summer a bad woman? Is it the woman's fault, the man's fault? I'm not entirely sure what I'm saying here, but you know what, listener, you decide. You watch the movie and you figure out which gender or sex is to blame in this movie. I'm not going to give an answer on that one because through all of my research on this, there's plenty to be said about this movie, and we've said a lot about it. I think it's a very interesting movie, and for the time that this was made, I think it really doesn't live up morally to current times in 2021. But it's really interesting to look back on, and I think Tom Hansen, the character Tom Hansen, and the character of Summer are very interesting to look back on, and I'll certainly watch this one again. I do hope they do make a sequel from Summer's perspective. I think that'd be really interesting to watch. So yes, I will recommend this movie. I will give it a slurps up.
Nice. I'm going to go next because, Charlie, I want you to have the last word on this. Okay. So I'm going to say that I do recommend this movie, even in this time and even this 12 years later. But you really have to listen even to the film. The film at the beginning says, this is a story about a love. This is not a love story. You're warned right at the beginning of the film. You really have to listen to what it's telling you, even if it has beautiful music, beautiful transitions, fun, quirky characters. We have this very attractive couple, Joseph Gordon-Levitt, and I'm a straight guy, but I'm going to say he's very handsome. I'm not saying it's because people told me I look kind of like him. Anyway, Zooey Deschanel, beautiful, they're both conventionally beautiful people. It's all very, like I said earlier, it's a very yummy film to watch. And you really have to listen to what it's telling you and what Summer is telling you too at the beginning. And if you look at it and really don't forget that it is from this one young guy's perspective that's based off of a myth from pop culture. And really, I think also hopefulness because his parents also got divorced. So I'm guessing a part of that has to play into his hopefulness that no, love can survive. Love, there is such thing as love, even though my parents got divorced. Then I believe that you will armor yourself for anything that could reflect badly on you, and what I mean is get mad at someone because you think that you're entitled to their affection or their loyalty or their love. Then I think that this movie can be beneficial for decades to come, and really show that, I don't know, it's just a growing moment. It's a really it's to really point out the flaws in a lot of us, I think. So in that case, I do recommend it. And I do give it a slurps up. That is my final 2 cents on it. Charlie, what is your final verdict?
Wow. I mean, between the two of you, I don't have much to add. I'm going to give it a slurps up as well. Only because I will repeat what I said at the beginning of the podcast, which was this movie is a mirror. It is a mirror to look within ourselves to see an ugly, inhuman creature that we don't want to call a relationship, but we end up calling it. I have seen myself in this mirror, and I've been on the other side of it. We've all been on the receiving end and the other side of what this movie is trying to, I think, communicate to us. We've been Summer, we've been Tom, we've been everything in between. And when we sit back and we kind of pick apart what this movie really means, I think that we can find individual strings of ourselves to make ourselves a little better. And at the end of the day, I think that's exactly what movies are supposed to do. So watch this movie, understand that you're going to love it, understand that you're going to hate it, and grow, because that's what this movie is about.
Very well said. Absolutely agree with
Nice.
that. Absolutely agree with that. Whew. Well, what was that? You said 3 hours, 4 hours, Adam, in the can?
Yeah,
A review
2.5
of
hours in.
Yeah, 3.
depending on whatever the cut is when this gets pushed out to the interwebs. Thanks for listening to our review of 500 Days of Summer, everyone. We really appreciate that. So before we close out, we're going to do a round of plugs. So plug time. That's right. And I'll start us off, and I'll say that a solo plug for me, Dash Garrett, aka DJ, is my Dungeons and Dragons actual play show titled Journey Punks, which Charlie is also on, and Adam composed the opening theme song for. It is on Twitch. We stream every Thursday, or sorry, not every Thursday. Oh my God, every Monday at 7 p.m. We stream an actual play D&D show set in the Arcana Punk world of Eberron. You can follow us at twitch.tv/journeypunks. That's twitch.tv/JOURNEYPUNKS. We are also on YouTube, so be sure to like and subscribe and watch those videos as well. Charlie plays the changeling, not changeling, oh my God, my brain's not working, a shifter barbarian
Right.
named Kelp. And it's tons of fun. Go check it out. Adam, what would you like to so plug?
You can catch me on Twitter, on Instagram, on SoundCloud at Adam Meisner. You can also catch me on Twitch at /A Meisner. And I make music. I record original songs. I even record covers from time to time. And I'll record whatever you want if you just let me know what you want to hear. And yeah, just tell me what kind of music you want to hear, and I'll put it up.
Excellent. Make sure to request some bluegrass. Charlie, what would you like to solo plug?
I mean, you done all the plugging for me, my babe. I'm on Journey Punks. It's every Monday. I mean, every other Monday if you want to look for actual gameplay. And then J Punk Junk is going to be every other Monday coinciding with that, which means you get to hear us like talk about the game. You get to see us play video games, or also just meet and greet and see us as a person, which is also very fun. Other than that, I think I'm at a loss because I don't do a whole hell of a lot. But listen to this podcast when it comes out, other than just my episode. That would be great.
Thank you.
When I plug this, I'm plugging your own podcast for you.
Listen to this episode again with Charlie. Listen
again,
to it.
yeah.
And when she's on again in the future, listen to her then too.
Listen to it again. I mean, we got a Dragonheart if we can.
Dragonheart.
Oh boy. Just wait for the my doctoral thesis on that fucking movie.
To the stars, Bowen. To the stars.
But yeah, no, that's a really creative project I'm doing right now. I mean, obviously I'm writing and I do a whole bunch of other things, but that's the only one that I would like to plug right now. Is just go listen to Journey Punk and have a good time.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Excellent. Well, ladies and gents and everybody, people, we love you, however you identify. We love you. And we want to say that wraps up for this episode of Screen Slurps. Thanks for listening. And please be sure to follow us on social media. We release new episodes every Monday on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and just about everywhere you can find podcasts on the internet. And please be sure to follow and subscribe to us on those platforms. And if you like our show, please give us a nice 5-star review on the Apple Podcasts app. It will help the show grow. And please recommend us to everyone in your multiverse, everyone in your cosmos, everyone in your house, everyone in your town, your city, your closet, anywhere. People, the ants, the cockroaches around you. Tell them to go go listen to Screen Slurps. Check it out. And
watch us too.
They can watch us too. Yeah. Hopefully we'll have some stuff you can watch in the future. But on that note, closing out, this is Dash Gerhardt, and with me are
I'm Adam Meisner.
And I'm Charly Williams.
Have a great night, evening, morning, wherever you are in space and time. We love you, and see you later.
Later,
Gators.